Omar Berrada reveals Manchester United's new recruitment strategy under Ruben Amorim. United are the club most likely to sign Ederson. Rasmus Højlund has been offered as a part of a deal for Victor Osimhen. Casemiro's agent is actively seeking a new club, while Bayern Munich are monitoring Diogo Dalot. Jadon Sancho could return to United this summer. Fresh updates on the stadium plan and talk of a new contract for Harry Maguire. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Omar Berrada comments. So he did an interview on MUTV yesterday when they were talking about announcing the new stadium and stuff, and there were some really interesting points that I picked up from that interview that I wanted to run through. So first of all, he did say that we would like to inaugurate the new stadium with Ruben Amorim at the helm of the team. So again, Sir Jim saying that he likes Ruben Amorim and kind of backs him. Omar Berrada saying the similar thing as well. So Ruben Amorim is obviously well liked behind the scenes with the leadership group, saying that they want to ideally, have Ruben Amorim as the manager when they move into the new stadium. And there's obviously some stadium updates and stuff going in a second. But, it's a 5-year project that they said, but we don't know the start date of when it's actually going to start as well. So, that's a bit of praise from Omar Berrada for Ruben Amorim as well. And I hope he can stay that long, because it'd be nice to not having to keep chopping and changing managers all the time. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's a results-based business. Let's see how that kind of goes. But these were some really interesting comments from Omar Berrada. So he said, it's more risky if you have a coach who doesn't have a clear idea of how he wants to play. With Ruben, we don't see that risk. Regarding our recruitment strategy, without saying too much, the idea we have is to be able to bring in versatile players who can adapt to several systems. Ruben himself said that it's not about a system, but an idea, a concept of how he wants to see the team play. He wants to see the team play more in a style of football based on possession and attack. For that, you need players who can play in several positions and adapt to Ruben's vision. And that's what we're going to try to do in the coming years in our recruitment. So Omar Berrada giving a little bit of a direction of things to come regarding the recruitment strategy under Ruben Amorim. And I just go back to the point I wanted to make on here. He said it's more risky if you have a coach who doesn't have a clear idea of how he wants to play. Now, if you remember back to before Erik ten Hag was sacked, the reports coming out from behind the scenes I was bringing you regarding, the hierarchy at United. One of the reasons Erik ten Hag's no longer here is because they wanted to see a specific style of play, or at least a kind of identity or a system, because that's the kind of benchmark or the base point that you need in order to get your recruitment right. So Jim, in his interview the other day, called Erik ten Hag erratic. And obviously, clearly, the people behind the scenes thought it was erratic as well, because how can you recruit properly if your style of play is completely different from half to half and game to game? If 1 week you're playing, a completely different formation, then you're playing basketball formation. And that was one of the biggest kind of things that they wanted to see this season, was an identity, a clear pathway, a clear vision of how they want to play, because then you can get the recruitment right for that particular style of play. So, and that's one of the reasons why ultimately Erik ten Hag's lost his job. And it's also interesting to say that the idea is now to bring in versatile players who can adapt to different systems, which is interesting. So not necessarily ones that just can play a 3-4-3, but can also play multiple different positions, but also based around, the vision, possession-based attacking football. That seems to be the way they want to go down as well. And I just felt that was kind of really interesting to give an idea of our recruitment strategy going forward. Versatile players that can play in different formations, maybe different. Look at Dorgu, for example. He can play, in multiple positions, but he could also play as a left back in a back four. I think a Diego Leon that's coming in as well. I think he could play as a back four or as a wing back. And that's the kind of identity then it looks like they're going to be going forward. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Omar Berrada also said, on the technical side, we have a coach who has a very clear identity and a very clear idea of how he wants the team to play. Then we have Jason Wilcox as the technical director, who works very closely with Ruben, and they are on the same page in terms of what we need to do in terms of recruiting. There are also some areas that need to improve. Data is one of them. Again, it is at the top of the list of areas we want to invest in to improve, because as you all know, to improve recruitment, to be really good, you need to have very good technicians, complemented by very good knowledge in data analysis. So again, that was one of the things Ruben Amorim said when he first came in, was we need to get the data right in order to recruit the right players for the right system that have the kind of right skill sets for what he's specifically looking for as well. So I just thought that was really interesting, coming from Omar Berrada, who is our CEO. He's in charge of the kind of, the football at Manchester United as well, obviously working above Jason Wilcox and Ruben Amorim and stuff as well, giving a bit of an insight into the sort of, a bit of a vision of the maybe what might be coming in the transfer window going forward. Versatile players, possession-based attacking football to fit the kind of style of play that we're ultimately looking for as a club. And again, going back to what I mentioned before, that's one of the reasons why Ten Hag was sacked, because that's what they were kind of looking for this season, an identity, a style of play, so you can actually then recruit the players. Like, you could look at United's team now, because Amorim's stuck with his guns and he's stuck with that specific style. He's not been kind of changing it at all. Yes, against Arsenal, we were a little bit more defensive, but I think that was more to do with injuries and squad availability than it was him changing his kind of model, because we've just got no players fit at the moment. And, it would be suicide to go out and try and play that way with the team, with Victor Lindelof at central centre-back, with Ederson and Casemiro in the team. I think he's learnt his lesson from, the Newcastle game regarding that. But point being, you can see already the holes in the squad, and which areas we do need to improve on. Right wing back is an area that straight away that stands out to mind. We need a right wing back. But could you tell that if we were playing a back four, or if we were playing like counter-attacking football, because Dalot actually might look quite good there? Do you know what I mean? So it helps you massively with the recruitment going forward. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. Now, obviously, there's loads of news going on the last couple of days as well, but there's been absolutely a shit ton of transfer stories coming out as well. I'll give my thoughts on that in a second, but we'll run through them first. So Manchester United have proposed Rasmus Højlund to Napoli as part of the deal that could bring Victor Osimhen to United. Antonio Conte likes Højlund a lot. Now, that came from an Italian journalist via Sport Witness. I don't know the credibility, but that was posted by some more credible sources. And it's not the first time that we've heard of potentially Højlund being involved in the Osimhen deal. It wouldn't be a swap. Swaps don't happen in football, but it might be, okay, well, we'll give you, 40 million plus Højlund for Osimhen. Again, I don't necessarily think it's an issue with funds, though, with Osimhen. It's the wage. That's the problem, I think, with Victor Osimhen, is the kind of wage. But you could do some kind of deal like that as well. Maybe it's plausible. But again, I think the Osimhen deal depends on Champions League as well. If we get Champions League money, potentially, but even then I would still be worried about his wage. He wants 350 grand a week, and I don't think we want to go anywhere near those contracts again, but keep an eye on it for you. Manchester United have pre-announced Man United have pre-announced an offer of 60 million euros to Atalanta for Ederson. They are the club most likely to sign the Brazilian. Now, again, that came from some Italian outlets who were actually quite decent in the January transfer window regarding the whole Garnacho, Joshua Zirkzee news as well. So I'd still say take it with a bit of a pinch of salt for now, but 60 million euros for Ederson, according to that report, is saying we are the most likely to sign the Brazilian. Then we've also had Dylan McBennett, who is actually a good source for United, normally fairly accurate, saying that interest is real for Ederson. Atalanta didn't want to sell in January and would demand upwards of £45 million in the summer. So let me know what you're thinking about that. Again, the reports the other day with Liverpool and Man City might be interested in him. If Liverpool and Man City are interested in him, I don't think we've got a hope in hell's chance of competing with those teams at the moment for Ederson. Someone in the comments, though, did say, can we not do an early deal to try and get it done before them? These stories are maybe suggesting that we would, if they're to be believed. So that wasn't a bad shout. But again, I think City have got money. Liverpool have got money. Liverpool are going to get, obviously, more money for winning the Premier League this season, and City have had a few periods or a few years where they haven't actually spent that much money, so they've got money to kind of burn as well, almost. So again, keep an eye on it for you. He's a player that's kind of he's been heavily linked with us for a while, so I do think there's interest there, but we'll have to wait and see, wait for a bit more credibility here. Now, another midfielder that we've been linked with is Manchester United are looking at Adam Wharton as a potential reinforcement in the summer. That came from Rudy Gillett. He's actually a decent source, not always the most accurate though, but it's not the first. It probably won't be the last time we've linked with Adam Wharton. I think he's a good player. Young, English, fits the homegrown quota. I just think that with the stories yesterday that Crystal Palace are already asking more for Mateta, who's only got 12 months left on, or will only have 12 months left on his contract, and are already trying to put the Man United tax on and ask for like £40 million and stuff. That's the kind of latest there. Then I would imagine they're going to do exactly the same with Adam Wharton, which will probably definitely price us out of a move. If we can get him for like a reasonable price or a decent fee, then he would be an interesting player to bring in. Obviously, Premier League proven as well, which is a value. But keep an eye on it for you. Now, obviously, if we bring in midfielders, we're gonna need midfielder recruitments anyway because Eriksen's going on a free. But then the Casemiro, so the Old Trafford hierarchy are keen to get Casemiro's £375,000 a week wages off the books. That came from Chris Wheeler. And then Caught Offside was saying that Casemiro's agent is actively searching for a new club for the midfielder. His agent has scheduled new meetings, particularly in Saudi Arabia and the United States. Manchester United don't want to sell him for less than £25 million. I think from the Samuel Luckhurst report that I bought you recently, where he was kind of valuing the players of how much we would need to sell them for to avoid PSR loss. I'm sure it was like £15 million for Casemiro. So if we could make, a bit of profit or PSR profit on Casemiro and get his wages off the book as well, that would be a pretty decent deal. I think like maybe the Saudi and the States 25 million is plausible. It just depends on his on the wage demands and stuff like that as well. But again, we've heard these stories before with Casemiro, and he's ended up staying. We wanted to sell him for like 2 years now, pretty much. But yeah, we'll wait and see, because the talk coming out from Casemiro is that he wants to stay and he's happy at United. There's been loads of quotes from him saying, "Yep, I'm happy," or "Not going to talk about it yet," into the summer and stuff. So keep an eye on it for you. I do think we need to try to remove Casemiro in the summer, just purely from a financial perspective. And then obviously that will help us massively with to bring maybe one or two players in with his reduction in wages. And if you could make a few £1 million PSR profit on him, then that would be decent as well. Now, obviously yesterday I got kind of caught up in the whole stadium announcement, Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview as well. Another midfielder that we've been linked with were from Christopher Michael, who is a really good source, saying Hoffenheim midfielder Anton, I think it's pronounced Stark, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, are really targets for Manchester United. So that's, Wharton today. Ederson, I think, has got a few kind of more noise regarding him. This is a story to pay attention to as well, because Christopher Michael's normally fairly decent as well. So are starting to hear a few more stories regarding the midfielder as well, which is good. I think what's kind of happening, I'll just kind of mention this here actually before we go through the rest of the news. I think United, I think there's a couple of things going on, right? Firstly, there's loads of bullshit stories going on, because there always is. We always get linked with players, or we always get used. Like there was a story I seen yesterday that was linking us with Rafinha from Barcelona, but when I read the report, it was actually about Arsenal and Liverpool and other clubs actually maybe being in for Rafinha, but Man United might have the money to go and get him, and it just threw Man United's name in there, and I was like, well, that smells to me like clickbait, like they've just added Man United's name in there to create a headline, because I don't think we've got any intention of going for someone like Rafinha, or I'd want to see way more credibility, right? So I do think there's a lot of clickbait bullshit going on regarding the media, but also I do think we are inquiring about players, because this is the sort of time where you would go to agents or you would go to clubs and start getting the feeling around what sort of price you want, so you can then work out your kind of summer business. So I do think that there may be some credibility behind some of these stories as well. But going back to the kind of reports. So Manchester United are keen to extend Harry Maguire's contract till 2027, despite recently triggering the 1 year option to 2026. That came from Stretty News. How would you feel about that new contract for Harry Maguire? I mean, if it's a reduced salary, there's value to keep some players around. He's believe like, contrary to reports, he's actually, seen as a bit of a leader and everything behind the scenes in the dressing room. We do need some experience to go with the young players as well. it would depend on the salary and stuff for me as well. To give him another year, not the worst idea, especially when we need to go out, because if you let him go either this summer or next summer for free, you're going to need a replacement. And have we got the money to be able to do that this summer? I'm not so sure. Maybe so. I'm a bit on the fence about it. Personally, I would want to see us move on from Harry Maguire just purely because of his age. He's starting to pick up a few more injuries as well. I do think he's been really good recently, so I don't want to criticize him too much, but I don't think his skill set suits the style of play that we want going forward, as good as he's been. But I wouldn't necessarily be against him getting another year contract, to be fair. So I'll leave that to Amorim and the club. If they want to keep him around, it's his decision. And I'll be cool with either direction. I'd be cool if we let Harry Maguire go or sold him. I'd be cool if maybe we gave him like a 1 year extension on his contract as well. But let me know your thoughts below. That'll be interesting to hear what you think about that. Now, Manchester City could go toe-to-toe with Manchester United in the pursuit of sporting winger Francisco Trincao this summer. That came from Graham Bailey. That's the second or third time I think we've been linked with Trincao. Great player. Fantastic player for Sporting, would really improve our kind of attack. Obviously knows Amorim, knows the system. A little bit older than maybe what we're kind of looking for. But if you can get the right player for the right price, again, though, I think he is potentially in contract negotiations with Sporting, so this could just be, a bit of agent speak regarding that. And obviously, if City, the Sporting director is going to be going to City as well, so there are some links there as well. But we'll keep an eye on it for you. Now, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are monitoring Diogo Dalot, highly appreciated by both company and Ancelotti. That came from Rudy Galletti. Now, we know that there's been a lot of links with Dalot and Real Madrid before. It's seen that Real Madrid want to go for Trent. If Trent goes to Real Madrid, I don't think they're going to go for Diogo Dalot. That is looking likely because, to my knowledge, Trent hasn't signed a new contract yet at Liverpool, so that's plausible that he's going to be going there, in which case, they're obviously not going to move for Dalot once they've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. So interesting that Bayern Munich could be interested in Diogo Dalot. I would be selling Dalot this summer. He'll be pure profit as well from a PSR perspective. And I think we've had examples of the past where, Dalot had a really good season last season, arguably amongst the kind of talk for player of the season last season. This season, he's dropped off a cliff completely and just looks, he looks borderline like not a professional footballer sometimes because his passing is terrible. He's running the ball out of play himself. His crossing is shocking. I know a lot of games this season he's been playing out of position, but still, when he's played at right wing back or right back, I don't think he's been particularly good there. I mean, he played loads of games in a row at left wing back, played one against Arsenal at right wing back, which is his first game there for like months, and then he got sent off. I mean, that's the kind of form that Dalot is, and as much as, there is value in Dalot, though, because he's always available, he's never injured, he's a really good professional behind the scenes as well. He's always one of the first players in training, really, really well liked within the kind of hierarchy as well, with his professionalism, his attitude. So he's got everything going for him off the pitch. It's just his form on the pitch this season has been absolutely shocking. Arguably one of our worst players, in my opinion, this season. I think he's been that bad, Diogo Dalot. It is their value. Like we've kept players like this before too long, and then they have another bad season, and then all of a sudden their value decreases, and you don't get quite as much as you would have if you sold. Like, it's about selling players in the right moment. And personally, with all the Kenda talk and potentially us going for Giovanni Kenda coming in as well, I think maybe it would be time to move Dalot on. So if we got a good offer from Bayern Munich, I would be looking to do that personally in the summer, but let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, Manchester United have requested information from Genoa on Koni De Winter. The player is valued at 30 million euros. That came from, Italian outlet. They're actually not very decent, so I would say take that one with a pinch of salt. Centre back, young defender, looks fairly decent as well. So, could potentially be, it would fit the model of what we're looking for, young, up and coming, developmental and stuff. But I wouldn't take that report too seriously at the moment. I would want to see a bit more credibility because they're not always the most credible source. And then Manchester United are leading the race to sign Argentine teenage defensive sensation Juan Jimenez. That came from Peter O'Rourke, who's a good source. Again, linking us with Juan Jimenez. There's been loads of stories that we've brought you in the last few days regarding him. He does look like a player that maybe maybe would be of interest to United. And then let's go through the Sancho stuff. So despite the obligation to buy, Jadon Sancho could return to Manchester United this summer, but Chelsea would then have to pay a significant penalty to break the agreement with United. That came from Chris Wheeler, who also said another issue could be Sancho's contract with Chelsea. Players often agree terms with their new club before joining on loan with a view to a permanent move, but it's understood that Sancho has yet to do so. So Chris Wheeler suggesting there that maybe Chelsea don't want Sancho after all and would be willing to pay a fee to terminate his obligation to buy, meaning that Sancho would then obviously come back to United. That would be insane, and it would say everything and it would show everything you need to about regarding Jadon Sancho. If Chelsea have already pre-agreed to sign him for 25 billion, and even they're like, yeah, maybe not, and they'd be happy to pay to cancel the obligation to buy, to force him to come back to United. I mean, I couldn't be done with another summer saga of Jadon Sancho, but even if that happened, we'd make money from that. And then I think you could still sell Sancho in the summer for maybe 20-25 million, which is what we're getting from Chelsea. So you'd actually make more money from doing that as well. But you would also lose some money as well because we'd be playing his full wages again as well. And let's hope that just doesn't happen and that he ends up staying at Chelsea or going somewhere else anyway, because who wants to go through all of that saga again? Not for me, thank you very much. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And let's quickly go through the stadium stuff. So Manchester United confirmed that the club will continue to play at Old Trafford while the new stadium is being built. There is no indication that United will be forced to relocate during the works. So it's confirmed, that's from Manchester United official as well, that they're going to stay at Old Trafford while the new stadium is being built. So we don't need to move anywhere else or do anything like that as well, which is good. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.